DNVR Broncos post-game show coming to you from the DNVR bar here on the corner of Colfax and York. RK here with my guy Todd Davis. And Todd, how the hell are we supposed to feel right now?
I'm not sure, man. I've been feeling like all different kinds of emotions. I don't know if I'm truly happy or happy and a little bit disappointed at the same time. It's like a mix of emotions, and I can't really figure out which one I'm going with just yet.
Man, I have never in my life watched a Broncos game as they come back from 21 points down and not celebrated one. Like, at no point was I like fist pumping or jumping up and down. I was kind of just like watching it unfold, almost feeling like I knew what was going to happen, and just seeing it all come together. It's such an odd, and I described this in the headline, so if you don't like the headline, you can come after me, but like, it says the world's most unsatisfying win. I don't feel satisfied at all. No,
me either, man. I feel like we were in a position down 21 points against the worst team in the NFL. Like, hands down, there's no question about it. The Bears are the worst team in the NFL. They give Justin Fields his first 300-yard passing day. They rush for over 170 yards. Like, I just felt like we shouldn't even be in this position. So for us to get a win, I mean, we all projected it to be a blowout. Like, that's how much we felt like we were better than this team. So for us to just barely eke out a win in the last seconds of the game, it just doesn't feel – I'm not, like, super elated. I'm happy, but I'm not, like, over the moon with joy.
Yeah, that kind of brings me into our biggest takeaways segment. And to me, my biggest takeaway is, like, the Broncos are still just as bad as we thought they were. Like, to go down 28-7 against the Chicago Bears and make Justin Fields look like Joe Montana means that everything we thought about them is still true, in my opinion. And so, as much as you want to sit here and start painting a path, right? We're like, well, now you get the Jets at home. You can get to 2-3, and then, you know, maybe you pull off a miracle against the Chiefs and everything changes. As much as I would love to sit here and do that, like, my heart is telling me, no, they're just as bad as you thought they were. They just got a little lucky and got matched up against maybe the only team in the league who's worse than them today.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't see, like, the great path that everyone's going to probably put together after this game. Yeah, you see a quarterback that had, I think he had 90 yards last week, and in the first half he had, like, 220 or something like that, and was, like, 11 for 11, just looking like prime Payton Manning, Patrick Mahomes. I didn't know. Like, he just looked phenomenal. So it does make me feel like maybe we were right about where this team is at right now, and that's just being realistic. We know that a win on Sunday is always good, but maybe we're just not where we need to be just yet.
All right, what's your big takeaway?
My big takeaway is that it feels like the best players that we have playing for us right now and making the most plays are our young guys. You look at Marvin Mims, you look at Jaleel McLaughlin. Like, there was a bunch of plays that Jaleel had that were either tackles for loss or not going to be a touchdown like he made it to be. So hats off to those guys, and it's really a testament to our young guys. They're stepping up, they're making plays, and if nobody else will, we got some young, hungry guys that really want to play.
I love it. You know, I was sitting there thinking, man, if Jaleel McLaughlin played for the Niners or the Dolphins, he might be an MVP candidate, like, because those teams do such a great job of getting those, you know, electric players out in space. But credit to Sean Payton, I thought he did a good job getting J-Mac out there in space as well. I need more. You know, they were kind of forced into using him a little bit more because of Javante's injury, and we'll hope that Javante's okay. Thank God they said hip, not knee. But, man, like, when you get a player like Marvin Mims, when you get a player like Jaleel McLaughlin, like, you're just yearning for more. I just want more touches, more touches. Like, those are the guys that bring that juice, which is a funny word in Broncos country because it's been used so many times about guys who didn't end up, you know, coming through with it. But, like, those guys seem to actually have the juice. Feed them. Give it to them. You know, I want maybe a combined 15 touches between those two going into any game. But I like it. I like that. That's a nice positive big takeaway is like there are some players for this team to build on.
Yeah, and I liked what I saw from him, and I saw more than I thought I would. Like, I know he was fast. I didn't know he was that shifty, though. Like, he was definitely able to make guys miss. Some guys' ankles need to be iced up after this game because he was making you look silly, but he's definitely shifty. He can run in between the tackles. He can run outside the tackles. I think he's a lot more talented than I even gave him credit for. So I would like to see him get a lot more carries and utilized a lot more, like you said.
My other big takeaway, and I guess I'm breaking the rules here going with two big takeaways, but I think this has to be talked about. Russell Wilson is fixed. Like, Sean Payton came in, and credit to Russ and Sean and everyone involved. He has been amazing this year, and I think maybe some people will push back on giving him amazing, and maybe I'm going a little too far there, but the stats are certainly amazing. I think he's over 1,000 yards this season now. What would it be now? Like 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He completed 20 of 26 today, I think. Is that what it was?
I think it's 21 to 28.
Okay, 21 to 28 when it was all said and done. I mean, we're sitting here, and I guess the reason why you would be a little disappointed that the Broncos pulled this off is because of the eventual chase for the number 1 pick and Caleb Williams, who we saw right here in Colorado yesterday. And at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, should we be looking at it differently because Russell Wilson looks amazing?
Yeah, I do think he's not the problem. That was my point on the show this week is like, if we did have the number 1 pick, what do we do with it? Do we have to go after Caleb Williams? Can we use it to get more picks because we do need more talent in the room to support Russ? I think he's playing good. I think that there are times throughout the game where I would like him to step up because what I've noticed is like playing, like sometimes stat lines look different than actually how the game progresses. And there was a couple, like whether it was 3 and outs or drives that I feel like could have been extended by Russ, they weren't. And I would like him to see him take a jump in that aspect to where we're putting together a longer sustained drive, even though he does have like a long pass to Marvin Mims or a great pass to Cortland Sutton in the back of the end zone. Like, he's making good plays. I just feel like there's still times throughout the games where we're not getting like the most out of him as much as we could.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's maybe still a little bit left, right, for him to go to fully be back to the Russell Wilson that the Broncos thought they were getting.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, like that throw to Cortland in the end zone is an absolute missile.
Yeah.
He makes the clutch throw to Marvin Mims down the sidelines to essentially win the game. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, man, Russ is finally starting to look like the guy that we thought we were getting. And if it weren't for this atrocious defense, this might be an entirely different story because of the way Russ has looked so far. So I feel like it's an important thing to discuss because everyone's thinking quarterback, and then it's like, Russ looks really good.
Yeah, he does. And the defense does look really bad, man. Even this game, we talked about the numbers that Justin Fields has put up. He's not that level of quarterback yet. I don't know if he will get to that in his career, but today he looked phenomenal. I mean, he was on point. Besides that one interception, that was his only mistake of the entire game. Our defense, I feel like our tackling still isn't there. We still need to get that under wraps. But Russ again is not our problem. And overall, we're happy about the win. I don't want to seem like I'm not happy for the win because Broncos country, our fans, the team, we needed a win. Maybe this starts us winning again next week against a team that's definitely beatable again. Maybe this is just what we need to get going. So, well, hopefully this is it.
I wanted to ask you something really quick, but first I just want, a lot of people in the chat are saying, you guys are downers.
Yeah.
Why aren't you happy about this? For me, I'm always just going to give you guys how I really feel. Yeah. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I'm ecstatic after the win, but I'm just being honest with you. I don't feel great after that. I'm glad they won, mostly for the players.
Yes.
And that was going to lead into my question to you is everyone else outside of the building is thinking about, maybe not even outside of the locker room, is thinking about draft already. We're in week 4. It's early for that, but that is what it feels like the conversation is in Broncos country. In that locker room, there are 0 people thinking about that. Yeah. So I just wanted to get your perspective on how do they feel right now? What is that like?
They're really happy, man. I know they're excited. K-Jack was really excited, and I feel like they played hard the entire game. The first half didn't look great, but there was no quitting them. I think being down 0-3, down 21 points to the worst team in the NFL, they could have easily quit. And they didn't do that. So that shows that they're still balled in. They're still here to win. And they're not giving up on the season. They're not giving up on this team. And for a lot of these guys, they're fighting for their livelihood, their family, their paycheck. They definitely want to play good. So I did see a lot of fight from the Denver Broncos, which I love to see.
Yeah, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. You know, like I said, I am happy for the players, all our guys. You know, Alex Singleton, PS2, like. They deserve the joy of winning.
Yeah.
And I don't think they care about how they got there or anything. Obviously, they're going to go and continue to try and work on making this defense better. But just the feeling of having that monkey off of your back has to be a great feeling for them. So I'm happy for them. And I'm just they deserve a lot of credit for the way they fought. You know, like we were talking about the Buffs game yesterday before the show, and I was saying the same thing. It's like, hey, it's so easy to lay down and say, okay, we suck.
Yeah.
And the same way Colorado didn't yesterday, the Broncos didn't today. It works out even better for the Broncos. They go out and get the win. And that's tough, man. Like, it's tough to be down on the mat like that, bloodied and bruised, and say, I'm going to get up and give this everything I have. And I think that's, again, a credit to the way the coaches attacked the second half of the game, Russell Wilson, and just the outlook of the whole team.
I got to play devil advocate real quick and ask you a question. So between these two games, which one did you feel happier about? The loss that Colorado took? Or did you feel happier about the win in Denver?
See, they're already mad at me in the chat. You're going to make them more mad at me. But like I said, I'm always going to be honest with you. I felt encouraged leaving the stadium yesterday. Mm-hmm. I don't feel encouraged necessarily about much here today, except for Russell Wilson, you know, on the whole. So, yeah, as stupid as it sounds, I felt better after the game yesterday than I do today. And maybe I'm wrong for that, but that's the honest truth.
No, but it's understandably so. I mean, you got the number 8 ranked team in the country and the number 1 quarterback, number 1 prospect coming out. You know, even losing to them by 7 points, like that's still a big step in your program versus a quarterback that's struggling, a team that's struggling, and we eke out a win. It's just, I think I agree with you with that one.
It's funny. It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
All right, I want to go through this game and just how it all shook out. But first, tell you about our friends over at Athletic Greens. Nothing healthier than a win, except for maybe Athletic Greens. Go over to AG1. Check them out. They are delicious, in my opinion. I like the way it tastes. And I've always said that it's like you get to start your day with a dub with AG1.
Yep.
Like, you get up. Some people say they want to make the bed because it feels like they accomplished something. For me, I want to go straight to the fridge, get my AG1 out, throw it in that, 8 ounces of water. I go 1 ice cube. Then they gave me one of those little frother mixer things. Yep. Mix it up, makes it nice and cold, perfect chilled temperature so you can still chug it, but it's not like warm and gross. So 1 ice cube is the move for me on my AG1, but it's got tons and tons of things in there that will help you take care of your body. Supports energy, focus, strength, and clarity. And like I said, you'll really feel like you did something when you start your day with AG1. So get over to AG1, go to drinkag1.com/Broncos, drinkag1.com/Broncos, and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 AG1 travel packs with your first purchase.
And you know what goes great? You start your morning with some AG1, and in the afternoon you get a little hungry. You might want to reach for a Primo Hoagie.
Ooh,
football season is here, and big games means big parties. Remember, it isn't just football, it's an experience. So don't settle for any average catering tray. Make it Primo. No matter what you have planned, there is no better crowd pleaser than Primo Hoagies, made with the finest, highest quality Thumann's meat and cheeses, sliced fresh to order and served on Primo's award-winning seeded rolls. Baked fresh every day. I don't know about you, but I could definitely go for a Primo Hoagie today.
Yes.
Throw the best party on the block with Primo Hoagies. Go check out our friends over at Primo Hoagies. Tell them DNVR sent you, and they will take care of you with a great hoagie.
Our Allie and Eric are on the way to Philly right now, and if there's one thing I'm jealous of, it's them going to get some cheesesteaks, but maybe I'll just go get Primo Hoagies because that's the best thing you can get in Colorado along those lines.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go through this game and really talk about what happened here, and maybe this will end up actually feeling better as we go through that second half, because you'll see, you know, a lot of playmakers making plays and helping the Broncos pull out a dub. But start early, where I thought the Broncos were going to win the way we thought they did. They forced a 3 and out, or actually 5 and out, on the first possession for the Bears. Get the ball right back, 11 plays, 84 yards, and a touchdown to Jaleel McLaughlin.
Jaleel, yep. It was a toss to the right side.
Yep.
Man, he looked really good. And I felt like this was going to be exactly what we said, a blowout by the Denver Broncos, frustrated by losing by 50 last week and coming ready to play. Yeah, they looked really good to start the first quarter.
And credit to Sean Payton and that offensive staff. 3 out of the 4 games, they have gone down and scored an opening drive touchdown, which is a far cry from the offense that we've seen in some of these past years. I think it was the best start in that regard for a Broncos season since 2001. That's obviously Mike Shanahan era. Yep. And the Shanahans kill the script. Sean Payton, also an elite scripter, which hopefully down the road when the Broncos are playing in bigger games and there's a lot more on the line, like those opening drive touchdowns, those scripts that he's able to put together will go a long way.
That's huge. I mean, we don't talk about it enough, but that's really hard to do, to score like on almost every first drive. Like, that's really an accomplishment and a big testament to Sean Payton and his offensive play calling, because that was one of the defenses, at least for my defense, it was one of our like keys to the game. Like, you don't want to let them score on the opening drive because, you know, as a defense, it's always harder to play from behind. So the Broncos are definitely getting off to a fast start. We just got to keep it rolling.
Yep. I feel like there was a stat at some point last year about how bad they were on opening drives. So that's one area where they've just flipped it around immediately. Unfortunately, the Bears come right back with a long touchdown drive, 9 plays, 75 yards, and it ends with the wide open touchdown to Cole Kmet in the seam.
Yeah, I don't know why he was looking like he was a young Travis Kelce. He was wide open.
I got ahead of myself. This was the DJ Moore one. And this is actually really important to talk about because that absolutely under no circumstances was a catch. You know which one I'm talking about?
The one where his foot barely Yeah.
If they don't call that a catch on the field, there's absolutely no chance it ends up being a catch. And I don't know like what we're doing. You can see when the foot hits, like you can see a blade of grass move or a little something kick up.
We didn't see anything.
No, it didn't. It wasn't like, when I say it wasn't close, it was obviously close, like a couple inches.
Yeah.
But it was so very clear that his foot didn't hit any part of the ground.
Yeah, I was surprised that they allowed that one to stand. I thought they were overturning it, but sometimes when they make that call on the field, like I think refs don't want to be wrong, and I don't think that back in New York, they don't want them to be wrong either, so sometimes they just stick with it, but I definitely didn't think it was a catch.
Yeah, I was full conspiracy mode at that point. I'm like, man, they just think this is going to be a low-scoring, boring game. They're like, screw it. Just give them some points.
Let's put some
to
points
keep it
on the
interesting.
board.
But it's worth noting that if that doesn't happen, this could be a different game. We could be talking about a Broncos blowout, but that did kind of change the momentum of the game. Right after that, Broncos go 3 and out. Not much to talk about there. And then that's the one I'm talking about where the Bears get the ball back, go 44 yards, 3 plays, and it was like,
Yeah.
Right then and there. That's the wide open touchdown to Cole Kmet where it was like, that's when you started thinking about the Dolphins game.
Yeah, it just felt like, once again, we were nervous every time the opposing offense had the ball. It never felt like there was a time we were going to stop them. Granted, the defense did make plays towards the end of the game, but in the beginning of the game, it felt like the Dolphins all over again, where every time the Bears would touch the ball, you know, we'd be nervous about them scoring, man. It just didn't feel like we were on it today to start.
Right then, Broncos get it back. Nice little run from Jaleel McLaughlin, but it was called not called back. And then the very next play was a sack on Russell Wilson. So Broncos go 3 and out one before, 4 and out on this one, right back to the Bears, who quickly dice up the defense and go down and make it 21-7. This was another touchdown to Cole Kmet. This was like maybe Justin Fields' best play of the day. He's rolling right, waiting, jump pass to Kmet back over, and it's like, this feels like we're playing Patrick Mahomes when we're playing a guy who even Bears fans were out on a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is the potential that he has. I mean, that was a nice play. That was very Patrick Mahomes-esque. He put together a good drive right there, and that's what had me so worried, man. I just felt like, how do we come back from this point when the Bears are clicking. You know, a team that hasn't been able to click all season is clicking right now against us. It really felt like we were in an area of the game where we weren't going to be able to find a way. But granted, hats off to the defense. We found a way.
Yep. And as much as we talk about the defense, there's something to be said about the offense here because they went 3 plays and out, 4 plays and out, and then 5 plays and out. Hold on, we're seeing if the Eagles win.
Oh, he got it.
So yeah, 3 and out, 4 and out, 5 and out on 3 consecutive drives right as the game's getting away.
Yep.
And a little bit of credit to the defense here because it could have been game over. Bears get the ball with 2:29 on the clock. They've just carved up the Broncos defense one after another, and I'm thinking they might go down, score a touchdown here, and make it 28-7 at the half, and I think it could have been over there. This is the one that ends with the Hail Mary last play. It's Justin Fields' first incompletion of the half is on a Hail Mary on the last play, and that comes on the heels of last week when Tua had 0 incompletions in the first half.
Yep.
So if you go back and look at the first halves of the last 2 games, I think Tua was 16 of 16, and then Justin was like 21 of 22 or 23 of 24 in the first. Maybe that's too many passes.
I think he was like 11 of 12.
Yeah, you're right. 11 of 12, 16 of 16, back-to-back weeks. That can't happen.
No, that definitely can't happen. I think the Broncos' defense was on the field too much, and that goes back to my point about I think Russ has been phenomenal, but there are sometimes in the game where we hit these lulls where we really need points to be scored because had we not been playing against the Bears, who are really terrible, I think that would have came to bite us in the butt towards the second half. Because those are crucial times when you're starting to get down by 7. Now you're down by 14. Like, that's when we really need you to respond and score some more points.
Broncos get it coming out of the half. 3 and out. So 3 and out, 4 and out, 5 and out, 3 and out on 4 consecutive possessions. Like you mentioned, like you can't have offensive slumps like that in the middle of the game. They've been good early, and they've had moments late, but that middle of the game lull, is how you end up in a hole like this. The Bears then did what I thought absolutely was the end of the game. They go on a 15-play touchdown drive that takes 9.5 minutes off the clock. So now not only are you down 21 points, the whole third quarter is gone.
Yep.
And looking back on that now, I remember exactly how I felt in that moment. I'm like, they just ended the game in 2 different ways. They took all the time off the clock and they put you down three scores. So again, credit to this team for digging out of it.
Yeah, definitely credit to this team. I mean, like you said, I thought that the game was over at that point. Once they marched down and were able to get that other touchdown, I thought the game was over. But I mean, that's why you don't quit. The Broncos haven't quit. We're not quitting on the Broncos. We never will. We're just telling it like it is.
Amen. Then this is where the Broncos start to come back. 7 plays, 75 yards in 3:57, and they actually get the score before the fourth quarter begins. And I think that's like a mental thing. You tell me, you've been on the field. Like, for some reason, scoring before the end of the quarter feels like, okay, well, now we're just only down 14 points in the fourth quarter. Like, that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you have so much more time left. Like, if you score just right to start the quarter, it still feels like we've already entered the fourth quarter and time is slowly ticking away from us. But before that fourth quarter hits, like, okay, now we know we got a full 15 minutes in the fourth quarter. We have time.
It's funny because, there's 14 additional seconds on the clock. But now all of a sudden it's not, you have to go score 21 points in the fourth quarter just to come back and tie this thing. It's like, all right, we're down 28-14. And I remember at this moment, Henry tweeted out, like, the Broncos are ... alive, ? And all the responses were like, no, nope, dead, over. And I can't blame anyone for feeling that way. But then this is when the Bears kind of started to bear.
Yeah.
3 and out. Broncos get it right back. This is the Russell Wilson to Cortland Sutton pass that we talked about earlier. Elite arm strength on that throw. Just reared back and ripped it.
Yeah, it was a great pass. And in the pregame show, if you're watching, that was my bet, plus 150 anytime touchdown to Cortland. So if you took that, definitely made you some money, and I hope you did. Take that.
Speaking of betting, actually, when the Broncos were down 21-7, I put in a Broncos money line bet at plus 500. So.
And you came away?
Yeah, I got that. I got that cashed. Right then after this, definitely the absolute turning point of the game. Broncos have now climbed back to within a score. The Bears are actually driving and have a chance to put this thing away right on the heels of a 7-yard run, strip sack, Nick Bonito right into the hands of Jonathan Cooper, who takes it all the way back to the house.
Yeah, that was a great play by Nick Bonito. And shout out to him, man. I know he had a great game. I mean, he's been playing really good all season, like low-key under the radar, but he's really putting together some good snaps at outside linebacker and pressure when we need it. I mean, not to throw anybody on the bus, but like we really haven't had that kind of pressure, on the quarterback, and we needed it every time he's come with it. So hats off to him. Jonathan Cooper also had a great game, had a sack and a touchdown. That's always going to be a great game. So shout out to both of them being able to put together some pressure, because without that play, I don't think we win this game.
You're spot on. And I talked about this after the Commanders game when I was on the post-game show with you, but Nick Bonito, such a case study in patience with these guys. Going from college to the NFL is not easy. It is a big transition, and you've got to be really special to go out and just be there right away.
Yeah.
Some guys do it. PS2 came out and was good right away. We're talking about Marvin Mims, very, very good players. It doesn't always work that way.
Yeah.
And Nick Bonito, it was so easy to write him off last year, and I was absolutely guilty of this too. It's like, okay, well, you used your top pick of that draft in the second round on this guy. He made zero impact for you on the season. You just forget about him almost. And great job by him to get out there this offseason and really turn it around and make sure that he doesn't become a forgotten draft pick.
Yeah, I feel like there was a couple times this game they were letting him kind of go free or letting the running back block him. They're not doing that anymore. He's definitely making a name for himself, and he's definitely showing that he needs to be either blocked or chipped or accounted for, because he is making those kind of plays.
And then the Bears get the ball back, and this is the one that will be discussed all week on Chicago, CHGO, on Chicago Sports Radio. Anyone who talks about the Bears will be questioning Matt Eberflus for this one, because they drive all the way down to the 22-yard line, and they have a fourth and one. They run it right up the gut. Broncos stuff it, and remember, this is a tie game.
Yes.
So a field goal here gives them the lead, and of course, based on what transpired the rest of the game, which it doesn't always work this way, but we'll just say it does in this case, forces overtime.
Yes.
But no, they go for the aggressive move, which is essentially, at the very least, take a bunch more time off the clock and kick a field goal, or try and end up scoring a touchdown on this drive. What'd you think of the call?
I loved it as a Broncos fan, but I'm a Bears fan. I think that is the stupidest call that you could make. It was a back and forth game, all game, but you were up by a lot of points, and your defense has stopped the Broncos many times. I mean, the Broncos really only put up 24 points of offense.
Yep.
So really not a lot. So I think you would, as a Bears coach, you would kick the field goal and make their offense have to march down the field. And then on top of that, if I do run the ball on 4th and 1, I'm not running a zone read. We're either going to do the Jalen Hurts tush push, or we're going to do some kind of dive. Like, ultimately a terrible call for the Bears, but the perfect call for the Broncos. So it made me happy to see some dumb coaching around the league.
I don't know if that person was watching me, but they said RK was not cheering when we stepped up on 4th and 1. He was deadpan serious. My mind was blown. That was honestly my reaction. I'm like, I can't believe they just did that. Here's my thought on that move. If you're playing the Chiefs, maybe if you're even playing the Chargers, who have like an elite quarterback, the Bills, the Dolphins, any of these teams, I understand it, because it's twofold if you get it right. You're taking at least another minute and a half off the clock, and you have a chance to go score. You don't feel like that field goal is going to hold up.
Yeah.
But against the Broncos, who certainly haven't earned that level of respect yet on offense, you take the lead in the game. I mean, it's chip shot field goal to take the lead in the game with 2 minutes left. Man, that one's Eberflus is just going to get crushed for that.
As he should. Because even look at that momentum after they stop. That's a lot of momentum to stop a team on 4th and 1. The Broncos go down, and we still only get a field goal. Like, if they were to take that field goal to take the lead, then all of a sudden there's a tie game. Now they're talking about overtime. So dumb coaching call, but hey, if it's not, that's not our fault.
Yep.
It's not on us to make the right calls for them. So keep making calls like that. What's his name? Eberflus?
Yep. And I almost think they, because everyone's going to say, why wouldn't you put the ball in Justin Fields' hands? They kind of did, right? They call zone read, and Jonathan Cooper half stays home on that play. He's got a block on the outside. I think Justin made the wrong play there. It's like, you're going to have an opportunity to just get out in space and just be you. You know, he's whatever he is, 6'3", 6'4". Like, worst case scenario, you're diving for the first down on the edge. So I think Justin Fields' perspective on it was we've been gashing them this entire drive with the run. Like, we just need 1 yard. Let's go get it. It'll be easy. And I think they, you know, if the coaches were being honest, they would say, yeah, we're kind of hoping Justin would keep that and just go make a play.
Yeah, because you think about zone read, I know it gives you two options there, but you're starting 5 yards back from where you need to get the first down, and you're starting both your quarterback and your running back with no momentum going forward. Yeah, everybody's standing still, and now I have to read and make decisions. Whereas if I did just a dive or a power or a sneak, everything's moving downhill. Everybody's momentum. Everybody's on their toes. We know where we're going. I just think it's a terrible call, but like I said, it's not our fault. It's a good, terrible call for them.
It's funny to me that everyone complains about the Eagles, you know, the tush push, or now what's being called the brotherly shove. And then no one does it.
Yeah.
You know, the Broncos, I guess, did a couple sneaks, but like no one really does it that way, where they just pack everyone in there and just say, we're going to outstrong you. And to me, you know, not to get into that whole conversation, but to me, it's just proof that it's not a cheat code. The Eagles are just really good at it. It would be like saying, like, we should outlaw the forward pass because Patrick Mahomes is just too good at it. You know what I mean? Like, the Eagles are just really good at that specific play. That shouldn't mean it should be banned unless everyone starts doing it and having success. Like, I don't know if the Bears are one of the teams that are complaining about it, but like, if you're complaining about it, then go line up on 4th and 1 with the game on the line and go get it the same way they would.
I don't know why they wouldn't put it in. I don't know why every team in the NFL hasn't put that in. As a defender, I don't know how I would stop that. There's too many bodies in a close amount of space, and there's too much power behind a quarterback. You talking about Justin Fields, a big, powerful quarterback. Then you have your tight end behind him. Your O-line is pushing. Like, you literally need 1 yard, which is like this much space. Like, I don't know as a defender, except for going over the top and trying to pull somebody back, how you stop that play. So every offense in the NFL should be running it on 4th and 1.
And I think, and this is actually not a legal play, so I would force the refs to call this. I would do the lineup as a defense in the exact same formation, and I would put Todd Davis or whoever right over the center, and then I would get 3 guys behind him shoving back the other way. Now, that's against the rules, and I think that's the best case against the play. Is that if the offense can shove their guy, why can't we as a defense shove our guy? But I would force a ref to make that call and say, hey, you can't do that. And then that's when you can go to the league and say this is BS.
Exactly.
Anyways, Broncos get the ball with all the momentum, and credit to Russell Wilson, credit to Sean Payton for the play call. First play, 48 yards down the right to Marvin Mims, and that basically ended the game.
Yep, definitely did. Great play to Marvin Mims. He's becoming more and more of a factor. I know everybody on this podcast has been looking for more Eminem or Marvin Mims, as they like to call him, and we're getting it, and I think it's definitely paying off. And
I just love going to a rookie breakout player in the biggest moment of the game and him going and making a huge play for you. Like, that's so big for his confidence. Will Lutz makes the 51-yard field goal. I know every Broncos fan was thinking.
That thing was,
I thought he was going to miss it, man. And I was relieved for him and for Sean Payton, who we assume orchestrated a trade for him, that he made that field goal. And, you know, then the Broncos defense holds. Kareem Jackson with the game-winning interception.
K-Jack with the pick. I was happy to see him get that. After all the stuff he's been through this season with the hits and, you know, having to sit out half a game, it was good to see him come with a big play. That veteran leadership is definitely needed in the Broncos secondary. So good job, K-Jack. That was a big-time play.
I also want to give credit to Pat Surtain on that drive with the big pass breakup on DJ Moore. You know, I think he's had, I guess, some more difficult games than he's used to, and I think the fact that he's not getting help, you know, I just see the conversation on Twitter. Oh my God, is Pat taking a step back? This, that, and the other. You know this as well as anyone. Defense is such a unit type of thing. And when in 2015, when everyone is surrounded and the guy next to them is a star and they trust them completely, it makes everyone play better. So, like, you know, you and B Marsh and all these guys, like, you were all just balling. Because one, you could just focus on what you had to do, right? But two, you're not constantly trying to do too much. I guess that's the same point I'm trying to make. But Pat can't do everything, right? And I think that he wants to make plays like you see early in the game. I can't remember who made the catch. I think it ended up being Mooney, maybe down the sideline, but like Pat's trying to jump a route because he just wants to make a play so badly for this defense, and then he leaves his coverage and they make a play up the sideline. So I don't think Pat has taken a step back at all. I just think the worse your defense is around you, the worse you're going to look.
Yeah, and a lot of pressure is more on him. I think our guys in the back end when we play were very, very phenomenal. But we made it a point and they made it a point to make sure that we handled everything in the run and they were going to handle everything in the pass. And I more so feel like Pat just kind of have to do everything. You know, he's got to come up and run support really well and make plays because we can't tackle right now at certain times. He's got to be able to cover wide receivers one-on-one. So a lot is on his plate. He's not just focusing on covering a receiver one-on-one anymore. He has a lot to do with, and I think he's doing a great job by trying to balance everything and trying to help this team out as best he can.
Absolutely. Do you agree, though, that, like, I guess from your perspective, how did your feelings change about what you had to do from 2015 to, let's just say, 2017?
Yeah, it was definitely different. I was definitely expected to do a lot more in the passing game as my career went on, as guys went to different teams, as defenses changed. And it definitely wasn't my favorite, I guess I can say that. Definitely was more of a run-stopping linebacker, I feel like, when I played the NFL. So when I could do that, when I knew the play was designed for me to do that, I was happy. When I knew I had to do more than I wanted to, and not as happy. And I think that's kind of what he's going through right now, having to kind of balance it all to be there for his team.
And, you know, not to get into a whole conversation about that 2015 defense, but, like, when you can essentially just have press man on the outside at all times, it just makes everyone's job so easy.
It makes it easier. And then when I did have, you know, to go man to man with the tight end, I still had either D Stu or TJ over the top. So it's like, yeah, it's pressure, but I know I got help. You know, it's definitely made my job easier in those moments.
All right, before we move on to a little talk about, I think, you know, how the Broncos move forward, what's next? Is it time to start getting a little more optimistic about this team? I want to give a shout out to Breckenridge Brewery. Everyone should be going to their local liquor store or the nearest liquor store that carries it and getting themselves some Broncos Country, right? Like we have right here. Best can in the world, Broncos Country Hoppy Pale Ale. It's delicious, and it tastes like victory today. So go down to the nearest liquor store that near you. Get yourself some Breck Brew Broncos Country Pale Ale, Hoppy Pale Ale, or go to breckbrew.com for the beer locator, and you can find out where the nearest ones are to you. Shout out to Breckenridge Brewery. They've been a supporter of DNVR for a long, long time, and we love them for that. Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR.
And shout out to our friends over at Backus & Schenker. When you get hurt, Backus & Schenker is here to help. You can call 222-2222 to set up a consultation. Backus & Schenker wins for Colorado families, helping those who are seriously injured in Colorado for more than 25 years. There's no fee until they win money for your case. No fee to speak with them. There's no fee while they work on your case. There's no fee unless they win your case. And speaking of winning, they have won over $1 billion for their clients in Colorado, and they have locations all over Colorado, including neighborhood offices in Denver, Aurora, Inglewood, and Fort Collins. So call Backus & Schenker if you've been seriously injured. Call 222-2222.
All right. So I said this to you before we started, and this is my optimistic brain and why I guess I'm a little disappointed at the same time. If you just pulled off the win against Washington and didn't allow them to do to you what you just did to the Bears, it's a whole other conversation right now. The Broncos are 2-2. They should be 2-2. And even if they lost by 50 points to the Dolphins after a win against the Commanders, we'd be sitting here saying the Broncos are going to be favorites at home next week and should be 3-2 going into their first matchup with the Chiefs. And I think that's the hard part to swallow right now. If you're trying to feel good about this win and trying to be optimistic about it, is it's just like, but they're still 1-3.
Yeah, we're definitely at a place where, if we had lost this game, we'd be talking about Caleb Williams, number one all pick, and it's kind of like it feels like our trajectory is all up from there. But now it's like that's kind of out of the question. But what does this now mean for our season moving forward? We still have a very tough schedule going forward.
Yep.
We have a winnable game next week, but after that, it kind of gets tough and rocky for us. So it's like, where does that put us in terms of either winning this year or building for next year? Like, how do we navigate that space, not now not having the number one overall pick.
Yep. And I think there's a few different ways to look at this. One, the number one overall pick is certainly not decided this early in the season. And, I don't think anyone wants to think about this right now, but it could still happen. Or maybe everyone does want to still think about that. If you lose to the Jets next week, that conversation will come right back up. But you should beat the Jets next week.
Yes, you should.
And you will be favored against the Jets next week. I'm not sure if the early lines are out already, but I would guess the Broncos end up being 3.5-point favorites to the Jets at home next week. Okay, win that. You're 2-3. Now you get a Thursday night game against the Chiefs. Thursday night.
It's quick turnaround.
Yeah,
what can you ask?
Wild things could happen, but I'll just chalk that up to a loss. So now you'd be 2-4. Then you get the Packers at home. Jordan Love, despite looking really good early, has not looked good since. That's another winnable game. Where it gets difficult here is then you go Chiefs, Bills.
Yeah.
And I guess the point I'm trying to make here is, was today at all a potential turning point for this team? Was it at all Sean Payton needed a little bit of time to get this team rolling in the right direction, and for whatever reason, in the third quarter, it finally clicked and they started taking a step forward? Is there any way you can start to believe that, hey, this team has only just begun their upward rise and they're just going to keep getting better, and maybe they can pull off one of these upset wins and turn this season around?
Well, it definitely could be. It's yet to find out, but you look at the players that we didn't have today. You look at Justin Simmons not being there, Mike Purcell, Frank Clark, Josie Jewell. Those are all starters that we heavily rely on the defensive side of the ball, and we didn't have them, so that maybe this is the step forward that we need. And sometimes, just like in golf, you got to see it go in the hole. It doesn't matter if it's a 2-foot putt. Sometimes you just got to knock it in so that you start rolling and have better holes as the day goes on. So I think this is definitely a great thing for the Broncos. Every win is tough in the NFL, no matter who you play. So maybe they just need to see a win. They need to see Sean's coaching and guidance pay off for them in a way for them to get a win.
There is a little part of me that, I'm not all of a sudden going to say, okay, this team can make the playoffs after how hard it is to dig out of that 0-3 hole. There is a little part of me that thinks, when we talked on Thursday, we were talking about, hey, if they lose to the Bears and they're 0-4, the doubt that will creep in about everything.
Yep.
Whether it's your locker, the guy next to you in your locker, or your head coach or your position coach, everyone starts doubting everything. The combination of that belief with potentially getting Justin Simmons back, which will be transformative for this defense, in my opinion, and the idea now that you maybe have a quarterback you can count on, could allow this team to start to believe, and the power of that is really special. So again, you got to go beat the Jets at home.
Got to.
And then, to me, maybe that belief is back. And you just erase 0-3 and you say, hey, well, we're 2-0 since then, and then anything can happen from there. It's still an incredibly difficult schedule. But to me, if you're not getting the number one pick, and I think that really will be determined, if you beat the Jets, it's pretty much out of the question, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Then this season should be about Sean Payton starting to instill winning culture and turning this thing around.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely on that train with you, and I think that it has to start now. This was a winnable game, and they won it. Next week is definitely a winnable game, and they have to win it. You have to be able to instill the winning culture in the games that you should win. Now, if you're able to do it in the games that you shouldn't win, that's when it really starts to turn. Yep. If you can beat the Chiefs at all this year, even one time, then you really make that turn about being a confident and successful team. And when they go to watch this film always looks better when you end up getting a win. Even if you make mistakes, even if you give up 28 points this game on plays that you shouldn't have, it doesn't seem as bad because you got the win, and therefore your confidence, I think, is still higher going into the next game. So ultimately good things for the Broncos, but they have to start winning games, winnable games, starting next week.
Yeah, do we have Zach? Not yet. Okay, we'll have Zach in a second. So while we wait for Zach, were you at all surprised by Sean Payton's demeanor on the sidelines when they were down 21? I just kind of expected him to be screaming at someone, and he looked very calm.
He looks calm. He did rip his sleeves off.
Yes.
I didn't know if the Hulk was coming out or what was about to happen. But maybe he needed some air. It was a little hot when you're down by 21 points. You got to get some fresh air. I was surprised, even when it felt like VJ was kind of, I don't know, not panicking, but just like frustrated by things the defense was doing. Sean was the calm voice even then. Like, he definitely felt calm and collected throughout the entire game, no matter how things look. So it shows me that he's not stressed. He's just working through some things that he feels like he can figure out.
Yeah, it was interesting. And now looking back on it, now that they've won the game, I look back and I say, oh, that was really important, I think, to this team, to see their head coach kind of just like, it's all right, we got this. Yep. You know, let's go make a play on offense and make it a 14-point game. Sometimes that 21-point deficit feels so much larger than it is when you have the ball in your hands. Yep. And I think this was a perfect example of that. I also am going to go, as soon as we're done here, find the clip of Sean Payton cutting his sleeves off and say, you know, Sean Payton had something up his sleeve. He just had to cut off the sleeves to find it.
Yeah, could you imagine him being out there like Trent Dilfer, like just going crazy on the sideline? I feel like that's a bad look. That means like the pressure has gotten to you, the moment has gotten to you, and it's blew like your top off to where now you can't even compose yourself on the sideline. How do you expect your team to react to that?
I couldn't agree more. There's a fine line though, at least from a fan perspective when you're watching. It's like, you don't want your coach to get too angry because then it looks like they've lost their cool and it's unprofessional. But you also don't want your coach to be too stoic because then it's like, hey, what are you doing? Do you even care? Like, what's going on? I think the perfect balance you're looking for is like engaged, and you want to see them coach.
Yes.
You know, and that's where you saw Sean Payton walk over to VJ and he was, you know, having, I don't say yelling at him. He was having strong words like, hey, get it together. What's going on here? Let's do this. Let's do that. Like, you just want to see them active and engaged without being crazy.
Exactly. And then if they all do have like a passionate moment, you want to see it directed at like the refs. Yeah, like if you're a baseball manager, it's totally okay to go off on a ref and, you know, yell and scream at him as long as you're not doing it at a player or another coach. Then it feels chaotic. But if it's directed at somebody because of a bad call, because you're passionate about the game, that's totally understandable.
Yeah, it's like people thought Vic Fangio was like he didn't do enough on the sidelines. Obviously, people talked about Vance Joseph and how they felt like he looked confused on the side. Like, we do a lot of psychology, like evaluating.
There's the sleeves.
Yeah, there it is. He had something up his sleeve. Just had to release it. All right. Anything from Zach yet?
No, I just texted him.
He's probably partying too much. He's probably happy about the win. He's out there in Chicago. We got left here. It's all good.
He's in clubbed up
He's
right
in
now.
clubbed up. Yeah, he's turning up. Oh, man. You know what? I'm feeling better. Feeling better about the win. I saw someone in the comments say, if you're not happy about this win, go pick another team. To me, it's like, it's not that I'm unhappy. It's that I'm unsatisfied. It didn't scratch the itch for me of like, you always want to see your team win. You want to see your team play well. You want to see your favorite players go make plays. For whatever reason, the fact that they were losing by 3 touchdowns to the Bears just like sucked the life out of me.
Yeah, it's like when your parent says, "I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed." Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's like we're not mad at the Broncos. We're just a little bit disappointed that they didn't come out and do what we thought they were going to do, and that was blow out the Chicago Bears. They had the potential to do so, and I just didn't like seeing the defense still give up 28 points. Like, that just wasn't a win for me, even though it was a win. And once again, I'm happy for the win. I just want our boys to play better because I know that they can be a dominant football team if they are executing at a high level, because they have the coaching staff to do so. They just got to execute, man. That's all I need to see.
Yeah, and in the end, you don't want your team to be an embarrassment, right? And if the Broncos would have gotten blown out by the Bears today, they would have been the laughingstock of football 2 weeks in a row. I felt like last week somehow kind of slipped under the radar, at least on a national level. Like, everyone just wanted to talk about how great the Dolphins were, which was like nice.
Yes.
Now, if you go and you lose, you know, it's 28-7. They could have gone the other way, and you lose, let's just say, 35-14 to the Chicago Bears. Now everyone's talking about you because they don't, you know, they're going to, you know, give a little flowers to Justin Fields for that performance. But in the end, people would be saying, how bad are the Broncos? So it is kind of nice that they they walk away from this game not being a national embarrassment.
Yes, you never want to be on TV nationally for not playing well. So good to go. Good to go.
All right, I am very curious to hear how our guy Zac Stevens is feeling about this one. And we got him from, man, it looks beautiful in Chicago there. It's a sunny day, and the sun is shining on the Broncos, Zac.
Oh man, the sun is shining on him. The sun's shining on Henry, our great cameraman behind the camera. Some of you might know him as Hank. And you're not very curious how I feel about it. You want to know how Sean Payton feels about this game.
No, I want to know how
Also,
you feel about it first.
You want to know how I feel about it first? I mean, it was awful as awful could be. The Bears, this was going to be the deepest, dark. This was rock bottom. I know Todd disagrees with me, but as we were watching 28-7, it was like, what is happening here? How bad is this team? And when they made the comeback, it's like, okay, they're not as bad as the Bears. Well, they're maybe pretty much just as bad as the Bears. So it mixed emotions. I would say for this current team right now, tomorrow, it's good to get a win. For the future of this team, I mean, they just went neck and neck with the Chicago Bears, who have the top 2 picks in the draft next year. So this kind of shows again where the team is. They lost by 50 points last week, and then they go neck and neck with the Bears this week. It's not very good.
All right, fair enough. I think you summed up how most people feel. What did Sean Payton say?
So last week, you guys remember Sean Payton's press conference after the 50-point loss when he was saying, "What's the question? What's the question? Next question." He was very emotional, very upset with the way the game went. So an emotional guy after games, you expect him to come out, be fired up after the game. At least I did. His very first win as a Broncos coach, he talked about how important it was to get this first win. If you had just talked to Sean Payton, you would have thought they lost 28-7 today. And I kind of like that from Sean Payton today because it was really, I mean, again, 31-28 to the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields, 4 touchdowns. His first 300-yard game, his first 400-yard game. He didn't have an incompletion until he threw a Hail Mary at the end of the first half. In the past 2 games, quarterbacks for the Broncos in the first half have thrown for over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns with 1 incompletion on a Hail Mary. Are you kidding me? So that's kind of the approach that Sean Payton took to this. He was disappointed. He was upset. He was embarrassed, I think, going 3 points with the Chicago Bears, especially the way that first half unfolded. He was happy with getting the win, but at the end, he said that this is going to be some tough film to watch tomorrow. We've got, we can't, I don't remember the exact word he said, but he said, we can't sugarcoat this. And then he said one line. He said, we're going to play a lot better teams than the Bears. No disrespect to Chicago. And then, so disrespect to Chicago, of course. But then he said, the Bears probably feel that way about us. So he threw shade at the Bears and then threw it right back at himself. And that's kind of the honest truth. I mean, what's going to happen with the Chiefs? So I feel like I'm talking about a loss because it felt like Sean Payton was feeling like a loss, because all of us, it felt like we sat through a loss for 58 minutes of this game. But credit to Nick Bonito. I mean, he gets the start today in place of Randy Gregory. He plays the whole first series while Randy Gregory's on the bench. Nick Bonito comes out, not only has 2.5 sacks, but has the play of the game. That strip sack, that was all on him. He said he never bit on the play action, was going to Justin Fields right away, caused the fumble. Jonathan Cooper picks it up. That was like a 14-point swing because the offense had just scored a touchdown. You get that touchdown, and then it was like, okay, the Bears are about to melt down, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, we definitely saw that great play from Nick Bonito. We talked about how much better he's playing this year as opposed to last year. And I know Sean's not the happiest guy in the room right now, but how does the locker room feel? Could you hear Club Dub bumping? Did they have the speakers out?
I thought I heard some music. We were pretty much right next to the locker room, although very weird situation the way it's set up here. I do think I heard some music, and like I said, for this team right now, today, tomorrow, very big win for them to not go winless for 4 games. The Chicago Bears, they know. You guys know locker room bad or the opposing playing. And Bears, we going behind Henry Knight, right? That's symbolic of the Bears right now. They are
All right, a little technical
I
difficulties
don't think
there.
we can hear you on the
Yeah,
end. I know it was very insightful and a lot of great information, but we kind of lost you there for a second.
We'll see if maybe we can get him back. It was so perfect at first. I was like, dang, this Bears Wi-Fi is coming through for us. But it got a little too much of a struggle there at the end. Let's call him back. Let's give him a try. We'll give Zach one more chance here.
Second half, Broncos second half.
Yep.
Zach?
No, I don't think so, Zach.
No.
No, we can hear you. Go.
It was
There we are.
so
You
close.
see Henry?
I think it's Hank.
Blame-
Who's working the camera? Is that Hank?
Yeah.
Blame Henry for sure. He's moving around too much. The Wi-Fi signal can't find him.
I'm sorry, it's all reversed. It's really hard. I actually asked Quinn Miners about Club Dub specifically, and he said, I can't share those details. I have to, like
All
that.
right. That was a good effort. All I wanted to ask Zach is if we could get him to cut off his sleeves live on the air.
I think he would have did it too.
I think so.
For the first win?
If he had the right equipment, maybe he has like a pocket knife or something.
That's going to be tomorrow's show. Everybody comes in with a shirt that you don't like and cut it all off.
That's a good idea. I don't have very many long sleeve shirts that I don't like. All right. Shall we get into super chats here?
Let's do it.
All right. Before we do that, we got to tell you about. What do you got for me, Todd?
Shady Rays.
There
Our
we
friends
go.
over at Shady Rays, where they have a deal right now where you can use the code DNVR for 50% off 2 or more polarized shades. And we all love Shady Rays here. I've yet to get my pair, but I'm going down and check out our friends. So I want to look good too. I like looking good, like looking fly. I need to have on my Shady Rays to complete my outfits. And Shady Rays, with Shady Rays, you can take on the sun with gear that's built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm and cold weather ahead with shades at an affordable price. And the great thing about Shady Rays is that they have an insane protection in all eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your Shady Rays, even on the day you buy them, you can get a new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase them. Together with their customers, Shady Rays is providing much-needed support to nonprofit partners across the U.S. through Shady Rays Impact, which is always important. It's always important to be a good impact to your surrounding community. You need to give back to your community, and Shady Rays is doing a great job of doing that. So go check out our friends over at ShadyRays.com using code DNVR, where you can get 50% off 2 or more polarized shades.
Love it. Love me some Shady Rays. And also shout out to our friends at Bet365, where I made some money today. You can say, whatever you want about my reaction to the game, but you can't say I didn't believe, because I put it down when the Broncos were down 2 scores. I put down the live bet on the Broncos to come back and win the game. I should have done it again when they were down 3, but that's when I was actually a little bit worried. But you can do that over at Bet365. You can bet on just about everything over at Bet365. And right now, when you sign up and use the code DNVR365, you can bet $1 and get $365 in bonus bets, which is a hell of a deal. My advice on this one is to bet on something that's going to end quickly as Mac Jones gets strip sacked for a touchdown.
Craziness.
Bet on something that's going to end quickly, like, put that $1 bet on a live bet towards the end of a game, because you get your $365 in free bets as soon as that bet settles. So don't put it on like a future or anything, or else you're going to cause complications for yourself. But $365 in free bets from our friends over at Bet365. When you use the code DNVR365, must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, text 1-800-GAMBLER and get over again to our friends over at Bet365. Use the code DNVR365. All right, yeah. What do we got from the people?
Uh-oh.
By the way, hit us with a thumbs up on our way out. Hit the Broncos with a thumbs up for getting that dub. What are the Cowboys just hit them with a fake extra point?
That's crazy.
It worked perfectly. Just swagging on him. All right. Jacob Waddell says Broncos D looked awful again in the first half, but made clutch plays in the second. If they can just make the plays we need to, we can be all right.
I think that's true. I hope that we can play offensive line as bad as the Chicago Bears every week, so that we can be able to make those plays. But if the Broncos defense just makes the plays, a couple turnovers a game, I think 2 turnovers a game, that'll really put us in a great position to be able to win more games.
Yeah, they have to find a way to manufacture pass rush because, I'll go back and watch the game again, but it felt like every single time something good happened for them on defense is because they got after Justin Fields.
Yep.
And when they didn't get after him, that's when he looked like, prime Joe Montana, just carving them up in every way possible. So Randy Gregory has been really disappointing to the point where he got benched for the first series of the game. Now he did come in and play, but for the price tag on Randy Gregory, it is so disappointing how long stretches of the game can go by where you ask yourself, is he even playing?
Yep.
And so you can't have that with Randy Gregory. But if it's not going to work with him, obviously it's great to see Benito getting after it. It's great to see Jonathan Cooper going out there and making plays. But it's not consistent enough right now to where I think you can get away with not trying to manufacture pressure, whether that's using stunts and games up front or whether that is bringing a few more guys off the edge, bringing some corner blitzes, whatever it may be. They have to get pressure because the secondary is not holding up long enough when they don't.
Yeah, I think that's key. Pressure and rush and pressure definitely have to work together. And like you said, when they made plays, it definitely was.
And I think Justin Simmons' star is going to grow so much in Denver when he comes back because people are going to realize just how bad it is without him and how much better it is with him.
Yep. He's needed. He's the man. He's who I want to be when I grow up. So hope he comes back soon.
From Chop. Call me a fake fan, but the fact that fans are celebrating is embarrassing. Our team is absolutely atrocious. We need a rebuild. We made it harder. Here's what I would say, Chop. I'm totally cool with you feeling however you want to feel about the game, and I know that there's tons of mixed feelings in Broncos country about this game, but I don't think it's embarrassing for fans of a team to be celebrating that they won the game. Like, in the end, a lot of us spend our whole week looking forward to watching our team play on Sunday. So I don't blame anyone for, I don't care if you're jumping up and down, pouring champagne over your head after the win today. Like, you should be happy. Everyone, should react how they see fit.
Yeah, I think it's always good to celebrate victories. And as of late, they've kind of been few and far between. So we're going to celebrate the ones that we do good, even if there's ways that we can get better and ways we need to adjust. We got to celebrate them, man. That way we can, manifest some more.
What do you think of what Zac said about Sean Payton just not being satisfied at all?
I totally agree. I mean, if I was the head coach of the Denver Broncos, I think I would feel the same way. Like, yeah, we won, but like we talked about, it's against the worst team in the NFL, and we really gave them too much, made it a close game when it really shouldn't have been. So celebrate the win, but also remember we have to be better than this.
I was looking to see if they were going to give him like the Gatorade bath for getting his first win as the Broncos head coach. I was thinking, like, don't do that. Whatever you do, don't do that.
Please don't. He would have been pissed.
Yes, he would have. From Joshua McCool, Russ has 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Broncos need a solid number 2 corner. Great point on Russ. He's been really good so far. And Sean Payton has kind of, in my opinion, worked his magic. And I think Russ is going to keep getting better as he gets more and more comfortable in this system.
I think so, too. I think this is just the beginning for Russ, but I hope that it continues for sure.
Yeah, and as it relates to cornerback, too, I'm in between. Because I thought people got a little too high too fast on Damari Mathis. Like, the offseason, it was almost like he was just locked down and number 1 and number 2 corners are just good for years. And I was like, it feels a little too soon. And now I think people are getting out on Damari Mathis a little too soon. Like, he's still a young player. He's going to go through ups and downs. And, hopefully some of these struggles will help him get better.
Yeah, and cornerback is definitely the hardest position to play in the NFL. So, sometimes it takes time. Like we said, he's a young guy. I think he's going to keep getting better, but he's going to get a lot of work playing opposite Patrick Surtain. So he has to get better.
All right, back to Jacob Waddell, who says, this feels eerily similar to the 2012 Chargers game. If we get a win next week, I think we're back in business. I love it. Like, who knows? But at least if you get the win next week, people are going to be looking forward to Thursday Night Football. They're going to be making plans. What am I going to do for Thursday? Because, there'll be a little bit of excitement back and this feeling that, hey, maybe we can pull off a miracle and set the train really back on the tracks.
Yeah, we'll be on a 2-game win streak, and the AFC West, the games are always close. It doesn't matter how good each team is. Like, you rarely see a blowout when it's against AFC West opponents. So I look for the Broncos to play the Chiefs hard when it comes to Thursday night. No matter what the score is, it's going to be a tough fought game.
And Sean Payton is going to be so motivated to put together like a great offensive game plan. Not that he would be any less motivated any other time, but like the same way that, when Magic is playing Bird, like he's going to bring his best. When Sean Payton, one of the greatest offensive minds of all time, is going up against Andy Reid, one of the greatest offensive minds of all time, he's going to want to be in his bag.
He's going to want to be. And that's how they're going to pose it all over the media for Thursday Night Football. It's going to be Sean Payton versus Andy Reid. I think those are two talented Super Bowl winning coaches that they're going to want to see them play, put together a good game plan against each other.
Valley Bandit says defense was losing the game and then they won the game. Also, best second half performance from the team thus far. Go Broncos and go DNVR. Yeah, maybe it could be a little turning point for the defense that they, get a little of their swagger back.
Maybe so. And I will say it was the best second half. Because up until this game, if we were down in the second half or it even seemed close, it didn't feel like we were going to be able to manufacture points to be able to get back in the game. But the defense and the Broncos overall played a great second half to be able to get us back in this game and ultimately win this game.
I know no one wants to hear what ifs and buts and all that stuff, but there is a world where the Broncos are 3-1 right now, and it's only like a couple plays different.
Yep, that's true.
It's crazy to think about. And the blowout last week really just warped everyone's perception of what this team is, but they have been 2 close losses and 1 close win, and then obviously 1 really bad loss.
Yeah, you got to be able to win close games, and maybe that's something they can take away from this, is that they finally learned how to win a close game in the NFL.
That's such a great point. And remember when I was here after the Commanders game, my big takeaway was this team just doesn't know how to win yet.
Yep.
And we said the only way to learn winning culture is to win games. Like a comeback win, a clutch offensive drive, a clutch defensive stop. Maybe that gets the ball rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, it only takes one little flame to light that fire. So hopefully it's lit.
I love it. Dilly Dillon, Broncos fan from all the way out in Maine. I don't know if I've ever met anyone from Maine. That was crazy. Not sure how happy I am. Mims, McLaughlin, need more playing time. Defense? ?
They need to play on defense? Maybe so. Maybe we can play.
There you go.
Maybe Marvin Mims can play safety for us now.
I wonder if they put did you notice if they had any receivers out there on the Hail Mary defense?
I don't know if they did, but I think we used to. I think DT used to be one of our like cornerbacks or safeties when we used to go against the Hail Mary for sure.
I love that. Maybe Cortland would make sense back there.
Yeah, probably so.
Remember when they put Brock on field goal block?
Just a long, lanky body trying to have him block something.
I think it was like a game-winning field goal too. Like maybe against the Patriots.
I don't know, but I remember it didn't work.
It was in overtime, and I just see Brock out there. It's like a 25-yard field goal, going to be a complete chip shot, and he just like jumps. Ball goes like 40 feet over him, and it was just like you're mad because they lost, but I couldn't help but laugh at just the optics of it. All right, one more super chat here from Josh. 98 points in 3 halves is crazy. That is true.
You're right, my man. I got to agree with you, Josh. That is crazy. That stat line is crazy. So we got to stop that, because even now, I feel like that stat line and points per possession, I think are really bad in areas that we need to, shore up in our Broncos defense.
All right. Let me ask you this. Wow, I completely just lost my train of thought. I had a good question in my head, and it's just lost. What was that super chat about? Oh, 98.
98 points.
There we go. Thank you. No way they can make Zach Wilson look good, right?
Justin Fields, I think he was averaging 140 yards a game. Hadn't had over 300 yards. He had 334 yards today, 4 touchdowns, 3 and 1/2. I can't say that there's no way they make him look good, because Justin Fields has not been the guy he was today, but was that way because of the Denver Broncos. So I can't say that just yet.
All right. I'm going to say it. You guys can blame me if I'm wrong.
You're saying there's no way
that is there any chance? What do we know about Justin's health? If he's
back, if he's going to be back?
If he's back, then I'll be more confident in it. But I'm just thinking there's no way.
Do you think he throws for over 200 yards?
Sheesh. Justin Fields threw for 350. Yeah, I bet he does. I bet he throws for like 212.
Yeah.
212, maybe like 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Dang. Have we had an interception yet this year? Yep, K-Jack in the end
Oh
zone.
yeah, and then
this
K-Jack
one right
today.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So K-Jack has the only 2 picks. That's crazy. Another super chat from William. Not Jerry already talking smack to Phil on Twitter, SMH.
They're going back and forth. Can we see Phil Lindsay?
I can look it up. I can show it to you. I have the tweet right here.
Oh no.
You talking about Lindsay, right? Yep. Oh shoot.
I gotta pull this up.
We gotta see what's going down right here.
I just wish Jerry would stay off Twitter. Is it on Twitter? Okay, so Phil said, where are the receivers? All that money out there to be no-shows. Rod Smith said, I agree with Phil. Jerry quoted Phil first and said, glad you got to watch the game from the crib, fam.
Ooh. Bow, 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 bow. That's shots.
And then Jerry quoted Rod and said, as a receiver, you should know how this football stuff goes, but it was a good win. Control what you can control. Damn, he went after Phil.
Yeah. And Phil's such a nice guy.
I know. Were they teammates?
No. I think Phil was gone already.
Damn. I actually think the response to Rod Smith was there's nothing there.
Yeah, that was really respectful and just
yeah.
You know how this goes.
You should know how it goes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I bet Rod probably read that and was like, yeah, he's right. I'm sure I had some games where I felt I should have been getting the ball and I wasn't. And people were coming after me. I don't really have a take on him trying to dunk on Phil. But Phil is like such a genuine guy and loves the Broncos so much that I'm like, oh, not the right person. Not the right person to go after.
Oh man. Well, I mean, I don't think he said anything malicious.
No. And also like Jerry, man, at a certain point, I'm just going to have to accept Jerry is what he is, which is a good NFL receiver. I want him to be great so badly, but it feels like every time I'm saying, oh, we got the full Jerry experience today, and it's like, we got the full Jerry experience today. Completely unnecessary drop on an easy catch where it wasn't even like you're going to make a play, go turn upfield. Yeah. Then like a great catch on the slant where you had to reach. Yeah. And then also like a nice open field play. But then another one where it's like he has the first down and he ends up losing it because he's trying to make a move. It's just like, I've said it so many times. Oh, we got the full Jerry experience. And today we got the full Jerry experience. Even after the game, we got the full Jerry experience where he crosses the line a little bit on Twitter. I think I just have to say Jerry is a good wide receiver, and I just have to live with that.
He's definitely a good player. And I think I've been in that seat watching Twitter after a loss or after a win and
I remember
seeing something somebody said. We don't have to go in detail, but sometimes you feel like, somebody presses a button that you as a player, you've been fighting really hard and they press a button with you, you feel like you got to say something. And I don't think he was disrespectful in his response, but sometimes you gotta say, get something off your chest.
It was definitely sassy at the very least. All right. I think that's all we got. No more super chats, Yaya? Jacob does point out that they did overlap in 2020 as teammates. I guess that makes it almost makes it better to me. It's like, you can chirp a little bit to your own.
Just very briefly, was he? Because I felt like he was traded. Because he didn't play for us that 2020 season.
Phil didn't?
No, I don't think so.
That's the COVID year.
He was already at
Miami?
No, he went to Texans
Houston
first.
Yeah. Houston.
No, he was here in 2020.
The whole season?
Yeah.
Dang. Well,
2020 is like a fake year. It just blends in. Some memories feel like they're sooner or older. It's crazy. Anyways, I think that's all we got. An interesting day for the Denver Broncos, to say the least. I don't blame anyone who's happy. I don't blame anyone who's frustrated. I don't blame anyone who's unsatisfied or disappointed, or anyone who's elated. It's just one of those days. Everyone's going to process it the same. I appreciate you guys coming in and processing it with us. Appreciate you, Todd. And we'll see you on the DNVR Broncos podcast tomorrow.
Peace.